Too hot or too cold?
Oh, don't stop. Don't even get,
I said I was a little cold.
no.
Yeah, it is a little chilly here. I can throw the heat on. Just for a
Yes,
minute.
he does it, it's perfect.
You know what happens when you start appeasing her like this? And
She married you? Unfortunately, I'm spoken for.
Oh, God. Actually, it's always too hot for you. Now it's too cold.
No,
It is a little,
no, remember the other day it was freezing and he changed it and
Well,
it
I
was
think,
perfect.
you know, the thermostat's here, right?
Yeah.
But the blowers are here and not
well,
there.
there, yeah.
But they're in the back, they're not in.
It all depends, well, no,
Yeah,
this
this
room is
room-
separate. I'm just
yeah.
gonna put on here.
Yeah.
It all depends on where you sit.
But wait, right.
Right, like here is different, and also, when I stand, I can feel it. But when I'm sitting, I can't.
Right, and then once you get people in here and they're generating heat, the
Right.
whole thing changes as well. Yeah. But wait, there's a thermostat here for this half of the room,
Correct.
and then there's one out
So
there
you
for
see
the
these
rest.
three blowers?
Yeah.
That's the thermostat over there,
Right,
and there's a thermostat here.
for the rest
just
of the
ones-
floor.
No, for just these out here.
And then the rest is from
That's something
upstairs,
separate,
that's
yes.
upstairs.
So the sanctuary, and I'll call it where the plaques are two separate thermostats.
Right, the kid is.
Outside of that is something different I can't control.
Yeah, that's all, I think Adam has that.
Well,
I think it's in his room,
it's not automatic, you have to physically,
yeah, I think in his apartment is the thermostat for the rest.
we can deliberate.
Yes.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, isn't she, is it her Aliyah? When is her Aliyah for her conversion? Yeah, I think it might be, is it this, I wanna come, I can't remember if it's this week.
I forgot my little book.
Okay, we'll be around.
When is it? Hey, Jane.
17th.
17th, yeah, I heard.
Hey, I'll get-
I'm so excited.
It's so, you know, it's
Are you
so funny, I
excited?
realize like next time I come to Friday night service, I'll count.
You'll be,
Counted.
sorry, that's so
Well, it's weird, huh?
stupid, but yes. You do so much, it's great.
Well,
But anyway, but it's.
Yeah, he was so funny, he was like, when I went in to tell him I wanted to, he's like, okay, when? I don't know, there was no like,
Yeah.
it's like he gave me credit for all
Yeah,
the shit.
That's great.
And he's actually gonna be one of the 18.
Him?
No,
Oh.
David Shaw.
Oh, David
Oh,
Shaw.
David.
So I'm
I'm not good enough to be.
That's cool.
All right.
What if it's pouring on the way home then?
See, I told you she's gonna
I
love you.
mean,
Yeah, without a jacket.
It'll be okay.
Yeah, you see, look at that.
I'll be
It
okay.
was not supposed to rain, by the way.
Yes, it
It
was.
wasn't?
No, not after like 1 o'clock. They
Really?
said
I
there's
heard
no
it was the whole
rain.
afternoon.
Look at the radar.
I heard today, this afternoon and then some point in the night, and then by tomorrow morning it's gone.
Good, tomorrow will be nice.
Yeah. That's what I heard.
In the same place he heard there's no rain.
Shame.
It was on the internet, it must be.
That's our
Where
weather
are we?
now, everything's
June 4th.
volatile.
No?
What's the date today?
It's the
Nice.
9th.
The 9th. Right. Okay, good. Yeah. All right.
All right, let's stop. Who wants to do? You want to stop? You're comfortable, all right.
Unless you're too wet.
No, I'm.
Unless
Which is a holiday where you pray for rain, Rabbi?
Yeah. Most of them.
Shmini Atzeret, yeah, Shmini Atzeret. Is when you start to pray for rain. Okay, page 12, 14 or 46. Yedid nefesh Chavel mol hadarach Yerav lo yediduta Mino fesu vecholtam Adonai Ziv haolam Nafshi chol adavatach Anahel narefana la Beharolano hamzivach Azdin chazek betira behayetalach shivchat olam vatiyem orachamecha v'chuzna al beno havach ki ze kama nichsov nichsav lirob difered uzachana heli machmali bichushana ve'azit alam higalena uvros chaviv alai etzukat shelomach Ta'ir heretz mi'kevodach Nagila v'nismecha bach Ma'erahu kiva mohed v'choneini kimei olam adadai L'Adonai Narial Zorishenu Nekadma Fanav Betoda Bizmirod Narialo Kilgadolam Arba'im Shana Good Bedor Valmar Antoyele Bahem Behem Lo Yadu Derachai Asher Nishbati Be'api Im Yavon El Menuchati Avul Adonai Mishpechot Amim, Avul Adonai Gavod Ba'oz, Avul Adonai Kevod Shemo, Sehu Mincha, Uvahol Chasrodai, Avul Adonai Beharat Kodesh Chilu Mipanav Kol Haaretz Imru Vagoyim Adonai Malach Amtikon Tevel Baal Nimot Yadin Amim B'Meisharim Yismechu Hashamayim Betagel Haaretz Yiramayam Lo Yalo Sadai Bechol Asher Bo Aziranin Ubeol Teyar Lipnei Adonai Kiva Lishbot Haaretz Lishbot Evel Bezedek Vehamim Behem Unado Shama Batisma Chetzion Vatagelna Benor Yehuda Leman Mishpatecha Adonai Ki Ata Adonai Elyon Al Gol Haaretz Me'or Na'aleta Al Kol Elohim Ohavei Adonai Sinura Shomer Nafshot Chasidav Me'ad Reshaim Yatzilem Or Zaru Ala Tzadik Ulishrei Lev Simcha Simchu Zau Tzadikim Badonai Behodu Lezecher Kodsho Mizmor Shir Adonai Shir Chadash Hodi Adonai Yashor Levenei Kol Zachar Chasur Lifnei Adonai Kiva Lishpot Haaretz Yishpot Tevel B'tzedek Ve'amim B'Meisharim Adonai Malach Yergezu Amim Yoshev Ruvim 19 or 53 Moshe ve'Aaron bekohanav u'Shmuel bekorim shemo korim el Adonai ve'hu yahanim ve'amud anan yedaber aleihem shameru edotav ve'chog natan lamo Adonai Eloheinu Atanitam El Nosei Aita Lahem V'nokem Alalilotam Romemu Adonai Eloheinu V'ishtachavu lehar kodsho Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu 20 and 54, please rise, Mies Morlen David Avul Adonai Ve'elim Avul Adonai Kavon Baos Avul Adonai כבוד שמו ישתחוו לאדוני בהר הקודש כל אדוני על המים אל הכבוד הרים אדוני על מים רבים כל אדוני בכוח כל אדוני בהדר כל אדוני שובר ארזים וישבר אדוני את ארזי הלבנון וירקידם כמו עגל לבנון וסריון כמו בין הרהימים כל אדוני חוצב לבוטש כל אדוני יחיל מדבר מיחיל אדוני מדבר קדש כל אדוני חולל איילון ויחשוף יערות ובהיכלו כולו אומר כבוד אדוני למה בו ישב וישב אדוני מלך לעולם אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום גדולת ימינך ימינך תרצרו רק ברינת עמך סגבנו תרנו נורא ענה בכוח גדולת ימינך תרצרו רק kaberinas amecha sagvenu tarenu norai amarai ay 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 or 56. Lecha dodi ligrad gala b'nei Shabbat negabela hay hay lecha dodi ligrad gala b'nei Shabbat negabela shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad Hishmianu elam yuchad Adonai echad Ushmo echad L'shem ultiferet ve'letila Lecha dodi ligrad gala P'nei Shabbat negabela Lecha dodi Ligragala b'nei Shabbat negabela Ligrad Shabbat lechu ben elcha Ki mekor v'racha mirosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila Lecha dodi ligrad gala P'nei Shabbat negabela hay Achir Melucha Kumitzei Midacha Vecha Rav Lach Shevet V'Yameka Vacha Vehu Yachamol Alayichem La Lecha Dodi Likrat Gala Penei Shabbat Nekavela Lecha Dodi Likrat Gala Penei Shabbat Nekavela Hinari Me'afar Gumi Liv Shebig Deni Vanechami Al Yad Ben Ishai Be'halachmi Korba Hel Nafshi Gehala Lecha Dodi Likrat Gala B'nei Shabbat Nekavela Lecha Dodi Likrat Gala B'nei Shabbat Nekavela Hitoreri Ki Bahorechu Mihuri Uri 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 Jirda Beri Kevod Adonai Alayich Nigla Lecha Dodi Likrat Gala Penei Shabbat Nekavela Hay Lecha Dodi Likrat Gala Penei Shabbat Nekavela Lo Tevoshi Velo Tigal Mehi Madish Tochachi Umadechemi Bach Yechesu Anye Ami Ben Ibnita Here Al Tila Lecha Dodi Hayayale Krakala Benei Shabbat Nekavela Ayolim Shisa Shosayik Verachaku Kol Mevalayik Yatzis Alayik Elohayik Imsos Chatan Al Kala Lecha Dodi Ayale Likrat Gala Benei Shabbat Nekavela Amidus Mo Tivroti Veyet Adonai Dariti Al Yadish Ben Bazi Ben Ismecha Ben Agila Lecha Dodi Ayayale Likrat Gala Penei Shabbat Nekavela Boi Veshalom Ateret Malagam Besimcha Uvetala Tochemune Am Segula Boi Chala Hey Lecha Dodi Hey Likrat Gala Hey Benei Shabbat Nekavela Hey or 59. Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat. The righteous shall flourish like a palm tree. They shall grow tall like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they will thrive in the courts of our God. They shall bear fruit even in old age. They shall be ever fresh and fragrant. To proclaim Adonai is just, my rock in whom there is no flaw. Adonai malach, King lavesh, Mikolot Mayim, Mayim Rabbi, Adirim, Adirim, Mishbeream, Mikolot Mayim, Mayim Rabbi, Adirim, Adirim, Mishbeream, Adir Bamarom, Adir Bamarom, Adir Bamarom, Adonai, Hadir Bamarom, Hadir Bamarom, Hadir Bamarom, Adonai, Dotechem Nimod, Leveit Chana Bakodesh, Adonai Leorech Yamim. This week, we observe the Yartzeiton of Edgar Reed, father of Lydia Reed, Ted Silverman, father of Doris Pat Smith, Myron Walpow, father of Paula Geller, Jerry Lanoyle, father of Jessica Kimberly and Evan Lanoyle, and husband of Ginny Heron Lanoyle, Emmanuel Kahn, uncle of Bob Kahn, Rhoda Levine, mother of Mark Levine, Max Goldberg, grandfather of Eleanor Dreyfus, and do you have a yahrzeit? Did you mention that you had a yahrzeit this week?
Egan Ravani, yeah, my father.
I read it last week, but also Egan Ravani, father of David Radvani. Yeah, it was on the list last week. If there's a error, email the off. Whatever, we'll make sure it's right. And also Orlana Cohen and Sylvia Simcha, who are memorialized on our board. May their memories and the memories of all those whom we recall be blessings. A mourner's Kaddish is on page 62 or page 24. Yit Gada. Excuse me. I'm sorry. We do not have a minyan. We can include. You can still rise if you want. We can include one of the Shirei Hamalot. We'll include on page 254. 254. And if you want to repeat after me, you can. Shir Hamalot mimamakim karaticha Adonai. Adonai shima b'koli, tiena oznecha kashuvod lekol tachanunai. Im avonot tishmoria Adonai mi ya'amod. Kim chaslicha leman tivorei. Ki viti Adonai kivta nafshi, v'lidvaro chalti. Nafshi l'Adonai mi shomerim laboker, shomerim laboker. Yachel Yisrael el Adonai, kim Adonai chesed v'arbei mofedut. Yiftei et Yisrael mikol avonotav. May the memories of all those whom we recall be blessings. Good Shabbos, everyone. I rarely miss a Parsha opportunity to talk about the issue of strangers and refugees, as if you've been at the hearing we talk for a long time, you know, the Torah says it 36 times,
some version of don't love the stranger because you were a stranger in the land of Egypt, far more than it mentions any other mitzvah. So if the Torah mentions 36 times, I feel like I have license to do it a couple times a year at least. And I wanted to just share, it's not a big sermon, it's too small a room to give I could give a big sermon about this, but I'm just going to share something that made me cry earlier this week and again this afternoon. I'm not an immigration lawyer in America, or certainly not in Israel, but it's quite hard to get citizenship in Israel if you're not either born there as a citizen or you're a Jew. We're one version of those. Otherwise, it's pretty hard to get citizenship in Israel. It's possible, but it's pretty hard. And one of the challenges, or one group of people in Israel that faces particular challenges, are the children of foreign workers who are born there, who are basically not eligible for citizenship, generally speaking. There are several categories of common foreign workers in Israel, which many of you probably know, but one of them are Filipino men and women. Lots of the women work in home aid fields, health fields, they'll be nurses and things like that, and healthcare work, home health worker. And their children, if they have children in Israel, which people do, if they make their lives in a certain place and live there for many years, they often have children, are not typically eligible for citizenship. And there's, and again, I'm not a lawyer, but I was reading in the Hebrew Haaretz, there's a girl, a 10-year-old daughter of one of these Filipino women who there's deportation proceedings about her, and there's a video on Haaretz where she just speaks. She's a adorable little girl, and she speaks, obviously in perfect Hebrew, because that's the only language she ever knows. Ani lo rotza letseit min haaretz. I don't want to leave the land. Chaverim sheli, and she's crying and talking about how much she loves the land and doesn't want to, in perfect Hebrew. And it's among all the difficult things that are going on in Israel, this one is one that I just watched the video and I cried. And I think that one of the things that the Torah says over and over, that you should love the stranger because you were a stranger. And one thing I was thinking about this week, and I've thought about it before, but I was thinking about it in particular this week, is the rabbis who tell us what Judaism means for us, right? I mean, we're not like Torah Jews. We're rabbinic Jews, and everything that we do in Jewish life is pretty much filtered through how the rabbis interpreted aspects of the text. And some of you probably know that the ger, which means stranger, is basically reinterpreted by the rabbis to mean convert. So everywhere that the Torah says ger, which means stranger, which in context means resident alien. It does not mean a convert. It means someone who is, has a green card, or someone who is living in the land, right, but is not a citizen of the land, right? That's what ger means in the Tanakh. It means a resident alien. The rabbis decide that it means a convert, who's of course a fellow Jew. And so of course you should love your fellow Jew, right? Of course. So in making that interpretive move, they actually erase something very important that the Torah is saying, which is the Torah is saying you're not only supposed to love your fellow Jews, you're supposed to love all people. And I actually have a lot of compassion for why the rabbis did it. I mean, the Jews, for the vast majority of our history, have been a pretty small, beleaguered people, and we're always strangers, everywhere. That's the rabbinic experience, and that's basically our experience. We are always the strangers. We're never the people who are called upon to love the strangers because we're in power and we're the norm. We're the norm, and they're different. That's not part of the Jewish experience, and it's not actually part of the rabbinic experience. Because the rabbinic experience, by and large, is made by the diaspora for the diaspora. Until now, and the early Zionists are aware of this. Part of what they're doing is recovering a very ancient way of being Jewish and inhabiting the land and building Jewish society. And And many of them thought that that the return to the land and the return to sovereignty was going to create sort of this explosion of new creativity about what it meant to lead a Jewish life and how we're going to be Jewish and what it meant to make God's word manifest in a place through us. And this is what Bialik thought, and what lots of the early Zionists thought. There was going to be this new paradigm shift, and we were going to imagine these new ways of being Jewish, which hopefully we're going to be kinder and show the world again what it is to be a model nation. And, you know, you watch the video of this little girl, and you can't help but think that, you know, we're failing the test again. And the Torah is quite clear about if we fail the test, we're going to get thrown out. And I don't know. I just share it because I think it's important, and I think that we can imagine. I believe in the promise of the opportunity of our new reality. And I do, with perfect faith, believe that we can make a model nation as Jews, and that a part of us making a model nation of Jews means making a model nation anywhere that we are, but there too, and that we have the power to do it there, and that we have the, but we need to do it. Like, we need to work to do it, and so that's why the Torah tells us 36 times, because it's like really hard to do, but it's like really important. So that's what I got to say. Anyone have any thoughts about that? Or about it? I don't know.
I think I mean, for me, there's a big irony that Israel spent so much, I mean, in the years since its establishment, has spent so much time and effort and energy on absorption of mostly Jews from the diaspora,
Yeah.
and all this effort, and even philosophers from Ethiopia, I mean, who happen to be Jewish.
Yeah.
And yet fall woefully behind when it relates to anybody that's not Jewish.
Yeah.
And, you know, and even for, like, you know, others who are Jewish seem to be a two-class system.
Yeah.
Whether it's Ashkenazi versus Sephardi, or whether it's, you know, darker versus lighter. And it just seems just so ironic that, as you said, the initial Zionist idea was this, you know, beautiful country and a model, and it's just, I don't know. Yeah.
It was the idea of, I mean, on some level it was the American idea too, right? I mean, and America too, interestingly, like America too saw itself as, and the early pilgrim, I mean, whatever, the pilgrims were the pilgrims, they're not perfect, but they saw themselves as the new Zion. Like they saw America, they wrote about how America was the new Jerusalem and so on and so forth. This kind of like, oh, we're going to be this model place. I don't know. I suppose I also, like another piece of this for me, which was so moving. I mean, and Gene and I were talking about it a little bit earlier when we were talking about Hebrew and about, you know, for me, like, you know, like I think this little girl is sort of a perfect example of the ger, in the biblical sense, because a ger, there was someone who lived in the land. Of course, they spoke up. They were part of the idea with the ger, and the reason why you have to love the ger is because the ger is not just someone who, they live there. Where else are they going to live? That's their home. I mean, they're not quite. They're part of the Jews. The ger is clearly a resident alien is clearly part of the Jews, and A.B. Yoshua talked about this too, specifically about language, about how the great Hebrew Israeli novelist, about how people who inhabit Hebrew are and speak Jewish language are part of the Jews. Like, no one can say "Ani lo rotzah letzet min haaretz" in perfect Israeli Hebrew and not be on some level, I think, part of the Jews. Even though she's not Jewish. I mean, she's not Jewish. Not that I don't know what she is, and whatever she is great. But she's part of us, and I just think that's very clear, and which is an out there position, but I guess, yeah.
I mean, think about Native Americans. You know, they were here before the settlers came in. We don't think, not me, but that group of people didn't think like they're us. They are others. So like in every single culture, in every single country, people other others. You know what I mean? Like even if you're the same color, you know, like in Africa, you know, the Hutsis and the Tutsis We're sitting next to each other, and like they're different than us.
Right.
And it's like it's sadly it seems to be like human nature to find somebody who is lower than us or other than us, and like what's going on in this country? There's people have like a higher status. It's like a status thing. It's if you're a Jew, you have a higher status than even if you're an Arab or you're an Israeli. You're just not. It's not the same. And, like,
Well, that's why the Torah harangues us about it so many times, because it obviously is something that people have been.
But it seems to be like the antithesis of what it means to be Jewish. I mean, to me, people who are Jewish feel that, at least everyone that I know, or most people feel like if you're Jewish, that's the protected class that we have to worry about, and everybody else is an other. And that's kind of heartbreaking.
I heard
I mean,
an interesting podcast from Neil deGrasse Tyson, the physicist. I mean, he's brilliant, and he was talking about how childish this whole, them and us and others, and he was basically explaining in his mind how it went back to prehistoric humans, who he said, if you imagine them sitting in a cave, and there was another group who were different to them,
They're others.
so automatically they're others and they're enemies.
They're not
I mean-
So as we've evolved as humans, we've always had this basis of we don't, if I'm black and you're white, then you're different, so therefore, inviting you into my cave is a little more
It's a
difficult
danger.
and a potential danger to my clan.
I mean, yeah, I know. I mean, I think that's a danger. I mean, I think tribalism obviously has a very dark, can have very dark manifestations. My own view is somewhat nuanced. I mean, because I do think that, like, just on a very basic level, there is something, at least for me, very important about the integrity of my blood family. I mean, I care a lot more about my children than I care about yours. I really do. And I don't think that's obviously not atypical. Like, that applies, I think, to everyone in the room. But but I actually don't think that I actually don't think I should strive necessarily to care about your children in the same way I care about my children. I actually think that, and in the same way, I don't know that, this is my lived experience. Like, I have this sense that I should at least try to love all Jews, just whatever they're doing, because they're Jew. Like, I believe in, like, the reality of the Jewish family. I really do. I think it's real. It feels real to me.
Don't you love
And-
them more than your Filipino girl, and that's the same, right?
I mean, on some level, do I? I don't know, but I mean, I think I would affirm the importance of that for me. Like, I think that's important, and I mean, and when I was talking about this with my wife, she said, it was interesting. She said, well, this is why it's so terrible to only care about the Jews. And of course, we shouldn't only care about the Jews, right? We shouldn't. But what I said to her was, no, but I think that girl is sort of part of the Jews. Like, I don't mean to erase the way she's different, which I'm sure is important to her too. But like, I think that the fact, like, I do think that, like, she's part of us because she lives in Haaretz and she speaks our language and she has all her friends and she lives our calendar and that's all she's ever known, and so therefore she's part of us and that we're responsible for her. So, I mean, I have a nuanced view of it, I think, which I think whatever. I think the Tanakh does too. Yeah.
I think to say you only care about the Jews is not accurate. You could say I care about the Jews more. It's not like you don't care about the people. It's different levels.
Yeah.
But to Darren's point with the cave, I think you have to earn people's trust. In other words, if someone walks in, they're a stranger, regardless of if they look like you or not, you got to earn that trust before I'm going to love you or like you or welcome you in. So I think part of that is you got to know somebody first. So when you're a stranger in a strange land, people aren't going to just necessarily welcome you in. Some people might, but they need to get to know you. And then once they get to know you, hopefully it's like, yes, come in, you're welcome, you're a good person. So I think
But I mean, the Tanakh does, though. I mean, I think that is natural, right? I mean, I think there's a natural sense of suspicion and like scanning. There's like evolutionary reasons why we're scanning the horizon for danger and whatever. I think that's like hardwired. But the Torah doesn't say, like, love the stranger so long as he or she proves that they're a good guy. It basically says you're commanded to not oppress the stranger because you were a stranger in Egypt, right? So I think, I think it,
Different world
I
back
think
then
it's,
than it is now.
oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
But it seems to me that that's, you know, what we're describing as a pathway, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, to your point, you know, if this little kid has lived in the country, was born in the country, has not committed a crime, is a productive member of the society, what are we so afraid of?
Right.
Right? I mean, you know, in the context of our, you know, paranoia and, you know, the bad person that's out there, yeah, I mean, there's ways to eliminate those people from this group. And America doesn't do it, and, you know, Israel clearly doesn't do a good job of it either, and, yeah.
I mean, I have to say, like, this got, I don't know, this got, I feel like the public conversation around this was like so typical of what's terrible about like public conversations these days, especially at least related to like political figures. But like several weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, J.D. Vance talked about this idea that there are like circles of spheres of like concern and love, and like you love, you know, your family and your neighbors, and then and then there's concentric spheres. And I remember like he was instantly, at least for people who didn't agree with him, you sort of like instantly thought that this is, you know, dismissed out of hand. And I remember even like I think the Pope then, the other Pope, the past Pope was like, no, there are no spheres of different kind of love. And maybe from a Christian perspective, I think that that's true, because that's Jesus' whole idea, that he came for everybody. But that's not the Jewish perspective at all. The Jewish perspective is, you do. There's integrity. The tribe is vital, and your family is vital, and not someone else's family, your family, our family. I'm like, I care more about the PJC than I care about like Bethel, like, or like, I mean, I love Bethel too, but like I can't like.
That doesn't mean you don't care.
That doesn't mean I don't, but that doesn't mean, and I don't think we're supposed. I should care as much. I don't think I should strive to care as much about, you know, strangers as I do about my friends that I love. Like but it's complicated because I'm commanded to on some level. So it's nuanced. It's nuanced, which is like, it's like, okay, like life is nuanced and it doesn't. But like,
just to add salt to the wound for the Israeli situation is that those parents were invited. It wasn't as if they were illegal immigrants. They were invited in. And,
it's terrible. Yeah, it's terrible. And Israel, I don't know. I mean,
We're doing that here.
yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, it's disgusting. I mean, right? I mean, DACA's the same here. But it's. I mean, DACA's a little bit different because DACA's a little bit different situation. But than like a foreign worker who's there on a green card. But like, right? It's like.
One thing I remember back in like a class that I had years and years ago with Rabbi Shuck was he talked, and this may have been more about like helping people, was a little bit along the lines of the circles building on themselves, like you to the best of your ability, you take care of your own family first, and then you go out to your neighborhood and like you build.
I mean that's how Jewish law construes like tzedakah. Like you're first supposed to take care of your family, right? I mean, that's and you know you have more obligations to Pelham, let's say, if you live in New Rochelle. It's okay. Than to some community in Oklahoma, and more on some level to America than you're right. I mean that's how. Yeah.
And some of it's based on your ability too, like your ability to, you know, like if you are someone that has more resources, you know, maybe you go further out on that or something, you know.
Yeah, although this is not related to that particular thing, but it's important too. One of the wonderful things about the laws of tzedakah, about giving charities, so basically what about giving tzedakah is that people who live on tzedakah are supposed to give tzedakah too, or are obligated to give tzedakah. Not supposed, they must in theory give. So in theory, if you're supposed to give 10% or whatever to tzedakah, if you are living on tzedakah, you're supposed to give 10%. You're supposed to give tzedakah. So, which is I've always thought just a beautiful way of giving the person living on tzedakah the dignity, because of course they have to take care of others, because they're not exempt, like they're people.
And isn't there something around, like, if you get asked, you're supposed to give? Like, there's something about, like, if somebody comes up to you and asks you, and
Yes, there are and off the top of my head, you might know more. You might remember better than I do, but yes.
It changed my thinking a little bit about, like, the people that walk.
Yeah, you're supposed to give. Yeah, you're
And so,
You're supposed to give. You're supposed to give.
that they're gonna use it for something bad, you give them.
Yes, you're supposed to give. Yes, that's right.
It totally changed.
Yeah,
my-
you are supposed to probably give to
Yeah.
halachically. You're supposed to probably give to every
Yeah.
Yes, which is also. I mean, it's complicated. I mean, but yes, yeah.
Can I ask you one more thing? So, out of your heart, you feel terrible for this girl, but I'm just curious, because do you think, in my opinion, do you think it's okay for, so now what happens in Israel, their big concern is to let people who are not Jewish become citizens, because that dilutes the.
Yeah,
Like, how-
yeah. I'm concerned about it. I mean,
So I'm just
I-
curious, your opinion of like.
yeah. No, I mean,
She gets to be a citizen and everybody.
I'm not
else-
super. I mean.
Complicated, right?
I think it's unlikely to come to pass that, because of the children of foreign workers, suddenly Israel wouldn't have a Jewish majority. But you're right. I'm concerned that Israel, and I want Israel to maintain a Jewish majority. No, and I want the population. I mean, and I recognize that is in tension with a lot of the other things that I think. But it's true. I do.
Just asking your opinion.
No,
Wondering what you thought,
Yeah, no,
How
I,
does that play out, like, if you want it to be a Jewish state, do you let the people in?
I think it's I think the Jews we're a strong enough flavor that I don't know that everyone's gonna flock to live in Israel. But you're right. It's a concern.
That's like the question, is it moral to say you can only be Jewish and have a sit at a state and then tell some people they can't be here even though you live there? So
I do think it's
that's-
moral. I do think it's moral.
that's what I mean, so that's like
I do think it's moral in the same way that I think it's moral that I affirm that I can and should care more about my family than about someone else's family.
maybe she should go back to the Philippines.
I'm gonna say something
Yeah.
that's kind of unrelated, but the, ger, isn't gar to live,
Mhm.
and ger is
Yeah.
stranger. I think
Yeah.
that's interesting.
It is super interesting.
Yeah.
Right, and which even further complicate, right? I mean, it further complicates. Yeah, I need garb in New York. I live in New York, right? Which means, I think the idea there, and this is made explicit in other midrashim, is we're all, gerei toshav vis-a-vis God. Like we're all strangers. That's an explicit thing that we're all strangers in God's country. Like we're only there temporarily, right? Yeah, totally. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for helping me think. It's not easy stuff. And you could give like a big sermon about all that, but then it would be all the complexity would be lost. All right. Page 28. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam asher U'ma'avir yom u'mevi layla u'ma'avir ben yom u'ben layla Adonai tzevot shemo el chai v'kayam tamir chaleinu le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai amari v'aravim avat olam ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל, אל מלך נאמן, 30 or 66. שמע ישראל, אדוני, אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ואהבת
ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובגונך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. Adonai Elohim Amen. ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה מרים ובני ישראל הכנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נוראתי לא תוסיף אלה מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע לפני משה זה לי אנו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי פלאנו יעקב וגאלו מאחז ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גר ישראל 3373 ושמור צאתנו בואנו לחיימו שלום אתה ביד עולם ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ברוך אדוני הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים please rise ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד תהיה לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. 35 or 76. Say shalom bimromam, say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu. Al kol Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, shalom 993. Savri, Baruch Adonai Cholam, Baruch Adonai El Cholam, Borei Pri Agafe, Baruch Adonai Cholam, Asher, Baruch Adonai El Cholam, Asher Kishan Mitzvotav V'Ratzavanu, V'Shabbat Kodsho V'Vavartzon Yichilanu, Zikaron Maaser Bereshit, Ki Hu Yom Techila V'Mikrai Kodesh, Zecher L'Tzion Mitzrayim, Kivanu V'Achartam, Ve'otanu Kidashtam Mikol Amim, V'Shabbat Kodshecha Be'ava Uvratzon Chaltam, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. We count the Omer, which is on page 55. Last night we counted 26 days of the Omer. Hineni muchan umzuman lekayim mitzvah rasei shel sfirat Omer. Kamo shekatuv b'Torah usfartem lachem mimocharat Shabbat miyom aviachem et Omer hatnufa. Sheva Shabbatot timimot tiena ad mimocharat Shabbat hashvi'it tisperu chamishim yom. I am ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting Omer as it is in the Torah. You shall count from the eve of the second day of Pesach, when an Omer of grain is to be brought as an offering, 7 complete weeks. The day after the 7th week of your counting will make 50 days. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. Hayom shiva ve'esrim yom, shehem shlosha shavuot v'shisha yamim la'omer. That is 27 days. 3 weeks and 6 days of the Omer.
Alex Bregman.
Really?
Ryan Braun.
Who?
Ryan Braun, that, right?
Ah,
Brewers?
never fails.
Right, did you revise before you came?
No, well, yeah, I was, 2 baseball players.
Let's go Cubs. They're playing the Mets right now. Okay. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latei gedula leyotzer breshit, shelo asan pigoyei haratzot, velo samanu g'mishbechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, ve'or aleinu lechol amonam, v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shem shamayim ve'yosef Moshe v'gomer shmut. Katu b'tor techan mayim loch le'lam va'el v'nemar v'haya Adonai le'melech al kol haaretz v'yom hahu hiyeh Adonai echad u'shemo once again, in lieu of Kaddish, we can include another of the Shirei Amalot, many of which are very beautiful and always appropriate to recite in the memory of those whom we've lost. How about the Psalm 120 on page 250, which strikes me as quite poignant today. Shir Hamalot El Adonai Batzaratai Li Karati V'Yaneni Adonai Hatzila Nafshi Misfat Sheker Milashon Remiyah Ma yitein lecha u'ma yosif lach lashon remiyah Chitzei gibor shnunim im gachalei retamim Oy ali ki garti meshech shechanti mo alei kedar
Rabat shachnala nafshi him sonei shalom. Too long have I lived among those who hate peace. Ani shalom v'chi adaber hema lemilchama. I am for peace, but whenever I speak, they are for war. Just. The psalmist is ever relevant. Kiddush this week is sponsored by Doug and Yelena Spitzer in celebration of the baby naming of their beautiful daughter, Maya Shea. Wow, we wrote the Hebrew name here. We're just not going to reveal that right here. Find out tomorrow when you come. And I guess when it's read tomorrow, then it'll make sense. And also, Yelena's grandmother, Maya's grandma, who's from the Soviet Union, never got a Hebrew name. So she's going to get a Hebrew name tomorrow, too. So granddaughter and grandma are going to get a name at the same time, which is very special. And it'll be a first for me. So it should be beautiful. Thank you to the Spitzers for sponsoring Kiddush. There are still dates available in July and August to sponsor. Please contact the office. The gala is coming up on May 18th. Don't forget to register at the pjcgala.org. Join for small plates at the PJC or attend a host dinner with everyone gathering afterwards to celebrate the honorees. It will be a hotsy-totsy night of fun, cocktails, food, music, and surprises. And I'm just going to keep reading it until it's gone. And finally, the Tikkun is on June 1st. Come join for cheesecake and a dinner cooked by me and Roger, and I think Lisa, and anyone else want to cook? Come cook with us. And if you want to teach on the Tikkun, I have not gotten a lot of takers. So if you want to teach, if you want to add, the theme is going to be peace. And if you want to teach, talk to me. And we do have some teachers already, so that'll be good. But we need more. Any other community announcements? It's great to see all. And we'll conclude with Yigdal, which is on page 53 or 114. Yigdal Elohim chai ve'yishtabach nimtza ve'ein edel mitziuto echad ve'ein yachid ke'yichudon elam ve'gam ein sof le'achduto Ein lo demut haguf, ein no guf, lo naro chelav kedushato, gadmon lechol davar asher nivra, rishon ve'hen reishi lereishito, hino adon olam ve'chol notzar, yoreh gedulato, malchuto, shefa nevuato, netano, el anshe segulato, ve'tifarto, Lo kam beYisrael kmo she'od Navi humabid et munato Torah temed natan le'amoel Al yaneviyonev an beito Lo yachal lifael Velo yamir dato le'olamim le'zulato Sofe ve'yodea se'tarenu Mabid le'sof davar be'kadmato Gomer le'ish chesed k'mifalo Noten le'rasha rak rishato Yishlach le'ketz yamim shichenu Liftot mechakei ketz shuato Meitim yechayel berov chasto Baruch adei ad shem tilato Meitim yechayel berov chasto Baruch adei ad shem tilato. Good Shabbos, everybody. I had the great privilege this week of watching, the Pope when he first came out
Yes.
in his outfit,
Yeah.
whatever. The people I was with when that happened were Gloria and Sheldon.
Oh no!
You couldn't pick better
Oh,
people
boy.
to watch.
What was their reaction?
I don't know. They didn't say much, but they were just thinking.
I'm sure they were just thinking. That's
What
funny.
happened?
Pope, the new Pope, we have a new Pope.
I know.
So he comes out.
He comes out,
He
he's
is
the-
regalia,
Yeah.
he's now no longer who he was, he is now the Pope.
And he's from Chicago.
And he's from Chicago. But I didn't realize, so I guess they go into, after the conclave, the newly elected Pope goes into this room, didn't they call it the House of Tears? Where basically he eliminates his past, and he's no longer who he was, and now he's like this new person.
Yeah.
And he has to
Which
kind of
is-
transition from that to this.
Is that what we do every Yom Kippur, in a way?
Transition to what?
No, I think
No,
the
to our new
the
selves?
Bash says, the Baal Shem Tov says we're a new person every day when we wake up,
Oh,
which
really?
seems a little bit much to me.
I'm always, whenever I read that teaching, I'm like, can you give me like a week as one person? That's a lot of pressure to be a new person every day. So every day you're an entirely new being. It's like, maybe once a year.
That's funny.
Alright, so we
Did your family?
So comfortable.
I think they're happy about the choice. I mean,
Were they following it? Like, was it?
But
Did they have thoughts about who
Probably
they?
is not as much into the institution.
Did they-
They're into their tactics.
Yeah.
Like getting.
Oh, they're number
theories that
27.
doesn't
Yeah.
political.
So he has like.
Did they have a-
He doesn't. He's responsible for giving some.
Well, if it was
of-
32, I would say
Well,
Pope.
I wouldn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
27, you could have said the number and
Yeah.
No, I was not gonna say that. I was not gonna say that.
he would know that.
No.
How many of your team? Two, really?
They've been around long.
Now who's been, the Yankees have been around long?
Yeah, but other than that, they still,
They still.
even since we've won the,
That's not a money